Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
And now, the stories you may not see on TV. It's time for another episode of All Politics Are Local with your host, Barry D.
And once again, I'm rickrolled by producer Eric Clambera. That's right, it's time for another All Politics Are Local show, so stick around for an hour or so and feel smarter by the minute.
A simple job for simple people.
Today's show comes directly from Chester County's only AM and FM radio station, located on the 17th floor of the WCHE Studios corporate building at 105 West Gay Street in Westchester, in the center of Chester County, just down the block from Pump at 141 West Gay Street, right here in Westchester. This is how it's described on the Google. At Pump, Westchester, you'll find custom woodworking and luxury home goods that are ethically sourced, small batch, and handmade. They're open Tuesday through Friday by appointment, Saturday 11 till 6 p.m. and Sunday 11 till 3 p.m. Get some really cool stuff over there and check them out in person or on the web at pumpwestchester.com. Another shameless plug for one of the neighboring businesses. So, just when you thought it was safe to listen to radio again, here I am. And here's what I have today. I have a special call-in with an update on the Oxford Police Department. You know, I spoke about this about a year ago, and this stuff is still going on. The 5 Minutes with Jack is coming up. He's got a lot to talk about because there's power generation, power transmission, data centers. It's all kind of rolled into one. Count on 18 minutes for that. And then Justin Pak, a candidate for the PA representative position in the 157th District, which includes Easttown Township, Schuylkill Township, Tredyffrin Township, and Willistown Township.
Are you kidding me?
I wish I was kidding you, Bob, but at the controls today, piloting this show, out over those airwaves is the legend of the current Westchester radio. You know, the only AM and FM station in Chester County. The operator and captain of WCHE's Meta and Atmospheric Universe. The one, the only, Eric Clambera.
Oh, righty then.
That's right. It's that time of the show where we travel back in time. You know, to a simpler time. When poking fun of people didn't mean there was going to be a lawsuit by a group representing a class of people that could be offended by what you said, even if they had no knowledge of what you said. That's right. We're jumping in the WCHE time machine, heading back about 25 years, back to when Bud Light marketed to customers that purchase a product. Not to the ones that never would. They're drinking spritzers. Bud Light doesn't make spritzers. Back when they thought growing a company and making jobs was far more important to the economy than selling you on a social message that didn't pay anyone's salary. Back when capitalism created vast arrays of products from which to choose. Not like where now the average person thinks it would be better to limit choice. Unless, of course, it isn't their choice. Then the world isn't fair, and they need a safe room. So let's go back to a happier time when logic had a place in this world.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real men of genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Cruise Ship Entertainer.
Mr. Cruise Ship Entertainer.
When Tinseltown and Broadway said no, the cruise ship said yes.
Oh, yeah.
You may never get your star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame, but you do get free access to the salad bar.
Really crunchy croutons.
Your peppy numbers bring the audience to its feet, which is impressive because most of them use walkers. Your motto, the show must go on, and on, and on. So crack open an ice cold Bud Light, Prince of the Porthole. You can swab our poop deck anytime. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
You know, it's much like the talent here at the WCHE Jingle Department. We have the finest second-rate musicians and singers that money can buy.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Real quick, I have somebody to give a quick update on that long-standing issue down in Oxford where they're attempting to eliminate the police department. So, Eric, can you pop him up on the phone? We got a call-in for this. This is a special call-in that I allowed in through the gate. Are you with me?
I am.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen who you are.
I am John Rogers. I live in Oxford. Actually, I am not in the borough. I'm about 4 houses outside of the borough. That's where the whole issue in the police is. But face it, anybody that lives around the borough, what goes on affects everybody else. So
you betcha. There's no question about that. So, hey, John, bring the listeners up to date here. What's going on down? A year ago I covered this thing, and they wanted to eliminate the Oxford police. Hey, you guys, that borough down there is a pretty busy borough. It's got a nice town center to it. You got some stuff going on, and wasn't too long ago we had the Johnson gang. Okay, that was long ago, but whatever. So what's happening now? They're still playing around with this damn thing?
They are still playing around. They just paid another $15,000 for yet survey number 5 by an outsourced outfit to just give the possible scenarios of what to do with the police. There's 5 different options, and got the information back from the survey. They got it back on Wednesday evening, and they had a meeting scheduled for the people to come in. They showed it to the police an hour before that, and this survey is worse than the first 4.
Well, it is what you pay for. They have certain outcomes they want. That's what they're paying for. They're paying for certain outcomes. I mean, the idea that something's going to be very neutral, in a lot of cases, people have committees, groups, organizations. They have a place they want to go in. Are they really looking for the truth? Lots of times, no. They're looking for the outcome to be what they want it to be. And I'm not saying that's what's happening down in Oxford. I'm telling you that's the norm. It's the exception when the people do studies to find out what's really going to happen. Most people have an agenda, and those studies are then agenda driven to come out with what they want. And so,
well, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm. And so what kind of options do they have? Because we only have about another minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Well, first off, I have to tell you the outcome is this meeting that was scheduled for last Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Over probably close to 150 people showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So it filled the hall there at the borough office, and they had to postpone it. So we're not sure quite when the next meeting is. And they also were going to show the survey and, of course, show their particular view on what the options were. And then they, on the 20th, plan on voting for it. So they really were not going to give too much time for people to find out what this is all about. But if you'd like, I can go over the options real quick.
Yeah. Give them to me in about a minute and a half synopsis.
Sure, we can do that. The first option, number 1, was keep the current police. And the pros of that are just we already have the police that know everybody. They know what's going on. The biggest con they have on that is most expensive long-term option. You'll find out there's a pattern. Everything has to do with the money. Mm-hmm. The second one is restructure the current department. And again, it would get down to their pros are it saves an estimate of $2 million over 6 years by reducing the force.
Mm-hmm.
And, so they want to make it smaller and save money. The third one is, here we go. Option 3 is a combination Oxford Police joining with Pennsylvania State Police. And again, this is all about saving money.
Mm-hmm.
What they don't understand is the state police down in Avondale are already overloaded, and they aren't interested in this option. And the fourth one is merge with the Southern Chester County Regional Police. Mm-hmm. And again, this is about saving money, but I've been told by different sources that the Southern Chester County Regional Police aren't interested in adding more responsibility and territory. So I don't really know where all these are going to go. There really aren't any good ones. Number 5 is totally just give up the police and rely only on the state police. And like we've already said, that's really not an option.
Yeah, it's not. Actually, it would be if they changed their budget and they gave everybody a gun and 50 rounds of ammo. And then every year after that, they give people 200 rounds of ammo so they can go out and practice. And then people aren't going to want to rob houses or anything in Oxford Borough. But that's never going to fly, unfortunately.
No, I even mentioned that at a borough meeting. It's like, well, hey, you might be pushing people to do something like this.
Yeah. It's happened before. It happened in Georgia, in a little town in Georgia one time, and actually their crime did go down substantially when the local sheriff said, you got to protect yourselves because I can't do it all. And it actually did very well. But in this environment, I don't know that that's going to happen. Listen, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to comment about this, but I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to make a quick comment, and then we're going to jump over to a commercial. So thank you for giving us the update on what's going on, and keep us up to date from here on out with that next meeting. Would you please?
We'll do that.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you.
Great. Thank you. Bye. All
righty. So listen, here's the bottom line. Police departments and road departments are what cost the township most of their money, and people have to watch it. They have to watch what their income is. If they have a lower income people in the borough, it's harder to keep those expenses, right? So then you have to figure out, are you going to cut things back? What are you going to do for the safety? And I don't know that there's a right answer on any of this, but I don't think getting rid of the police department is a good idea, because that only allows more crime to happen, because your chances of getting caught are minimalized, right? So you really can't do that. But I will tell you that to have your average police officer, between cruiser and everything else, it's not unusual to be $150,000 per officer by the time you're done with benefits, union benefits, pensions, blah, 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 blah. And, cops are getting harder to come by because they're under fire all the time. So I feel bad for those two, because, lately the feelings du jour about cops is hate them. They're bad people. They're racist. They're murderers. They're this, they're that. Until something happens to you, and the first thing you do is go call the cops. So please keep us up to date on that. We're going to jump to a commercial, and we're going to come back with 5 minutes with Jack.
Barry D is back with All Politics Are Local.
All right, there's no monologue this week. I'm going to jump right over to 5 minutes with Jack, and we're going to talk about heat, power generation, power transmission, and data centers.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Good morning, Jack. How are you this lovely day?
I'm doing quite well, Barry. Had a great Independence Day, even though it was hot, hot, hot.
It was. Oh, my God, it was hot. I didn't have anything scheduled, didn't have any major things. I went to just a little dinner. It was just me and 3 other people, and it was nice. And then I went home and crashed. I didn't even watch any fireworks. Nothing. Not the Capitol ones, nothing.
Well, that's okay. My dog was placed on a 3-day bender for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because he has a real problem with fireworks, gunfire, things of loud noises. He doesn't do.
Oh, what do you have, doggy downers?
Actually, it was close enough to doggy downers. I think it was the dog version of Xanax, is what I was told by the vet. It was quite effective.
As long as it worked out, right?
Yeah, it was his best 4th of July so far.
Yeah.
We did have a power interruption on Friday, along with a lot of other people in Pennsylvania, in the area that I live in.
Storms came through.
Tore everything up. We lost power for a while. So
what's a while?
From 7 p.m. to 03:45 the following morning.
Oh, that wasn't bad, was it? That's only 6 hours.
Yeah, it's closer to 8, but it's okay.
Well, whatever. So, because there were people that were out for a couple days out in Lancaster.
Yes.
And the heat was tough. That was the biggest problem. If it had been mild out, I don't think you would have as many complaints. But it was pretty warm, which was probably the reason for the storms. It was triggered by all the heat.
And I thought we were going to hit a record through our PJM power grid management team, they were predicting 166 gigawatts of power. It only ended up being 161, which didn't quite break the record from 2006 of 163.
What's max capacity?
That would be 180 gigawatts, serving 65 million people in 13 states, including D.C.
Wow. Now let's back up a little bit for the listeners. Tell everybody, this is an industry that you're pretty much known in. What does PJM stand for, and what is it exactly?
Oh, I don't know what the acronym is, but I know what they do. They manage all the power. So they have what's called an auction. So they predict what their power requirements are going to be, and they send out bids to all the power producers, and it goes from lowest to highest bid. I want to say during this heat wave, we were close to 500 megawatts an hour was kind of the average to meet demand. I've seen it in my career up to $3,000 per megawatt.
Well, how does that work for the average homeowner?
I don't know the calculus of that, Barry. I don't know how that works out to the ratepayers.
Yeah, I mean, how would they calculate that?
I think some of it is, of course, it's volume. So if you have more of them, you take some of the higher prices and dilute it over some of the lower prices. Mm-hmm. But thank goodness we live in a region where we have ample amounts of natural gas, because about 60% of our power in PJM is created by natural gas.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Okay, so PJM basically is a clearinghouse consolidation of a bunch of different power companies like Exelon, Constellation, PP&L. Who else is in that?
Everyone that you can think of. Med-Ed is in there. Baltimore Gas and Electric is in there. Mm-hmm. Dominion's in there. AEP's in there. Just all the major power producers in the 13-state region.
And they control this, right? They control the grid as far as the magic is when you make electrons and they run down a line, the trick is to keep, you don't want to be overproducing them, because you overproduce them and nobody uses them, they're gone. They're gone. You can't, what are you going to do with them if you're making the power? So they constantly have to keep that balance between users and creators, right?
That's correct.
That is done in basically a bunker kind of just outside of King of Prussia, where they control the grids all the way out in Ohio and up through New York, Maine, the whole bit, right?
Correct.
So if you're pushing out 162 gigawatts, there's a maximum of 180. That's less than a 10%. It's just about 10% left as an edge in case things really get crazy.
About 15%. You're right there on the edge.
Okay, so it's right there on the hottest days. How is this holding up with our transmission lines? I'm always hearing about how bad our transmission lines are, because I remember back in 2003 we had to collapse. Now, PJM wasn't to blame for that. In fact, they ended up securing it. So places like where we are in Pennsylvania were very limited in their power outages, but places like New York City, they had to kind of sequester them. And those places were without power for a couple days, right? I mean,
yes.
But that's what they do. They handle that and keep it from being a full-blown collapse.
And as people see, as ratepayers see, there's two different charges that you receive. Actually, right. It's a total of three. You have your bill payer, and then which could be PP&L, and then you have your line transmission, which could be PICO, depending on where you live, and then you have your generator. So that came about in deregulation to where you could not own the transmission lines and the power plant in the same state.
Oh, is that how that happened? That's what that was all about?
Yes.
They had to decouple them?
That's what they call deregulation. I'll be interested to see how the capacity will change. If we're currently at 180 gig right now, what's that going to do when a lot of these data and AI centers start coming online? Half being behind the meter to where they're providing their own power, so that shouldn't affect the grid at all. And the other half being in front of the meter, which would mean that the power company is bringing high voltage power lines to the plant. That will certainly be additive to the demand.
Well, let's take this a step further because, this is important. This is about security, both for people and in the Northeast, right? We have power going down. We got issues, if power goes down. This is critical. I mean, it's critical to everything. Now, I'm sure like the airports all have backup generation for air traffic control. So what's going on out there as far as production side? Are there any more plants coming on board in Pennsylvania? There was something going on there, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was some legislation that was being prohibitive to investors that wanted to put power plants in Pennsylvania. It was the RGGI rule, which was basically an additional carbon tax. So every pound of carbon monoxide you produced, you had to pay a fee for. It's basically a tax. They've since vacated that, so now Pennsylvania will become more attractive to build more gas-efficient, gas-fired plants, whether they be base load or peaking stations, to be able to handle the demand. There is a massive influx of these smaller plants being built all over the country, not just in PJM territory, but all over.
When you say a smaller plant, what's the difference between a small plant and a big plant? Capacity-wise, what would they create for power?
A smaller plant's 500 megawatt.
500 megawatts, yeah.
Yeah, a larger plant is, a gigawatt.
You can do a 500 megawatt with just a couple gas turbines. You can make 500 megawatts.
Correct, and they're a small footprint. They run super efficiently. Low emissions. Keep in mind these larger coal-fired plants, we're replacing them with a much smaller footprint with these small combustion turbines.
So the coal plants, is not even any point to retrofit them because they're so big and so antiquated? Like, they took the Crombie one out over in Phoenixville. It's gone. It's nothing but a cement pad. I flew over it, and there's power lines there, but there's nothing else. Just a flat pad. Everything's gone.
Typically what happens, and we're seeing more of this to where we're taking brownfield facilities and we're repurposing them because a lot of the infrastructure is there already. Crombie would be a good place for that. Pennsylvania has what's called a payback program to where they're utilizing some of these old brownfield facilities. One in particular is the Homer City project, which is being repurposed for new gas turbines. That was one of the largest coal-fired power plants in the state.
Oh, Homer City, that's out western Pennsylvania. Is that like Indiana area?
Correct. Yep. So they've done a great job there, and that's going to be retrofitted with some very large gas turbines to provide power for decades. The great thing is, Barry, that the one problem that Pennsylvania doesn't have is fuel. With all the fracking, we have all the natural gas we need. We still have tremendous amount of coal reserves. So the idea is to run the coal plants at base load, then you start bringing up the gas turbines to support that, because coal plants don't like to be cycled. They like to come up and run full-throated as long as they can.
Because they're generating heat, and it's long-term duration, where gas is, I don't want to say instant on and instant off, but it sure is a lot faster to turn up the heat on that.
The newer turbines can be from cold start to power on the grid in 21 minutes.
Perfect for peaking, right? Like when you're doing peaking and you need that energy, they can start spooling those things up quick.
Exactly.
So if they see the needle, if they see things the demand is increasing, they already know that indicator's there. Start the peaking.
Exactly.
So you're feeling pretty positive about the amount of generation that's coming up, because like a year ago when we talked, it was kind of like, they're taking more apart than they're putting together when we were talking. So we're seeing a vast improvement now.
Yes. I think they saw the danger signs and started doing things very quickly to mitigate that.
That's a big plus. Absolutely. Because listen, it's not going to get any better. Now, you started talking about the data centers, and I interrupted you. I had some other questions, and I apologize. But the data centers, a lot of demand there. Like the difference between what we have in capacity at 160 when we're using near 165 and capacity is 180, 15 gigawatts.
15 gig. Yep.
Yes. So, and if a data center is using between 250 and 500 megs, that's only between each one of those is a quarter to a half a gig. So that means there's only between 30 and 60 amounts of reserve left for these data centers. Now they have backup generators, as you spoke about, but they gotta run those things. Now, what if a data center isn't using all of its power? What happens with that?
Well, it depends. So the way it depends if it's a behind the meter. So the behind the meter is this. They'll have three forms of power. So they'll have a large battery system, then they'll have a turbine and RICE engine. So reciprocal internal combustion engines. So that's your three tiers, and they're constantly charging the battery.
What's the battery for? For steady electrical output?
It's steady discharge.
Yeah, so you're not getting waves where there could be some flux in the power generation. Is that it?
Exactly. So that's typically how a behind the meter is going to work. So their idea is just to keep the battery charged. So they'll ramp those up and down to keep the battery charged to run the data center.
Right.
In front of the meter, they're only going to take what they need from the power coming in, just like our house.
What is your experience with these turbines as far as I keep hearing the complaints about them being very loud. Have you been near these things? Have you heard them? I have never got any experience, and I don't know anything about them. I know they're loud. Tier 4, which is supposed to be efficient and a little quieter than the last version. But, yeah, what's the story with that?
They're loud, and it depends on, who the maker is, how big it is, and the things that are attached to it, whether it's combined cycle, simple cycle, all these things. But from what I've seen of these facilities, either they're in a remote location or they put in sound attenuating walls around them, and that's a combination of berms, so you have dirt mounds around the entire facility, and or acoustic walls around them as well.
Now, are you saying that it absorbs it, or does it redirect it so that the sound goes up?
I guess it's a combination of both.
Because I don't know anything about these, but I keep hearing these complaints about the sound, and I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I know that there's complaints in Loudoun, Virginia, where there's a whole bunch of them. And I think they're older school ones, but I don't know. But they've surrounded this one community, and they're like, all we hear is a dull noise all the time and vibration, a low frequency vibration. So, but again, I don't know how old those data centers are. I don't know about the technology and where it's gone. That's why I'm asking you at least about the energy consumption part of it. Because the fear is our electric is going to go up because of that.
Well, what I know about Virginia is that they are the largest data and AI center in the country. They have more data and AI centers than any other place in the country. And there's many more on the horizon for the state of Virginia.
I can't help but think, I've said it before, we need them, but I just don't know why they're putting them in population centers other than the fact that they have the grid connections for the energy. But I think they need to be out further out, like out in the center of Pennsylvania. Get them out in the mountains. Get them out where the nearest house is a mile away, where it's just not going to be affected.
Agreed.
That's what I think needs to happen with these things. We need the data. We need all that. We need the AI. We need to stay ahead of the Chinese and everything else. But we also certainly don't need to subject our people to these things. But then again, I don't know about the energy output. But with what you're talking about, they could generate all their own energy output.
Yes.
So they could do that, too, and make it work. And
it's about a 50-50 split from these hyperscale facilities, whether it's behind the meter or in front of the meter.
Got it. I got one last question for you, because I didn't mean to get off on data centers because we were talking about energy production. But real quick, in the energy production right now, you're familiar with this stuff. I'm not. Give me a breakdown. Where is the energy production coming from? Is it coal? Is it oil? Is it gas? And give me the breakdown from top to bottom of what's what. Do you have any idea? I know you're pretty capable on that stuff.
So the largest contributor for power in PJM comes from natural gas. That's about 50% of all the power.
That's pretty substantial. Yep.
Yes.
And then windmills and solar would be right behind that, right?
No.
Because they got coal then. No. Right?
Coal is about 20%.
Okay, so that's the next biggest percentage?
Yeah. Well, actually, the next biggest percentage would be nuclear in PJM.
Oh, right. I can't forget about nuclear because they have Berwick, they have Limerick, they have PJM really isn't going to have 3 Mile Island when it comes back up because that was all done by Constellation. But that's all that energy is dedicated to one source, and that's Microsoft. So that's all going to that. But there's a lot of nuclear made. Okay, so then it's gas, nuclear, coal, right?
Correct.
And then solar and windmills make up 15%?
Well, yeah.
20%.
The renewables, we'll classify all the renewables as this. We'll classify it as solar, wind, and hydro.
Well, we have Conowingo, so that's one of them.
Yes, they contribute less than 10% combined.
Oh, wow. All of them.
Yes. Less than 10%.
So gas is our number one thing, and luckily we're swimming in gas here in Pennsylvania.
Yes, we are.
Good. Well, let's hope for no grid breakdowns like 2003 when it collapsed coming out of Ohio and Canada. And you've given me hope that they're doing more power generation. I hope that stuff comes up online, in the next year or two, and we start getting ahead of this thing because it's really bad. And then the next thing is we got to work on the grid.
That's right.
And the grid. And Barry, we can make all the power we want, but if we don't have a good grid, it's a problem.
And Barry, unlike Europe, we use air conditioning here.
Yes, I do.
Land of the free, home of the brave, and those that live comfortable in AC.
Jack, I'll talk to you next week. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. Good talking to you.
We'll see you. All right. Thank you, Jack. We are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be back with Justin Pak, a candidate for the 157th. By the way, real quick for the listeners, PJM is often mistaken and referred to as PGM. And what PJM stands for, I checked it out. It stands for Pennsylvania, Jersey, and Maryland. Let's jump to a commercial. We'll be back with Justin Pak.
Barry D is back with All Politics Are Local.
I am back, and in the studio is the one, the only Justin Pak.
Good afternoon, good morning, whatever. I don't even know how to respond to that. Thank you. Well, it's an honor to be here.
We stupefied the audience. They're supposed to click or clap, but I think the light didn't go on back in the studio audience. Oh, you lazy bastards! Holy smokes!
Thank you.
So, Justin, candidate for a PA representative. He's running against an opponent that is seeking her, I believe, fourth term?
I believe fifth, actually.
Wow. Well, okay, there you go. So, okay, Justin, right off the bat, let's get the stereotypes out of the way. So, for the people out there listening today, what ethnicity are you?
I am Korean.
Are you good at math?
I'm okay. I taught it for a little bit. It's kind of like, it's in your blood, you know what I mean?
I think it's in your genetics.
It's absolutely.
Now, is there any truth to the rumor that you left the K-pop band for a little bit, Kimchi?
It was Kimchi Dumpling. You got the name wrong there, my friend. Make sure you, dash Kimchi dash Dumpling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how my wife found me. We got popular towards the end of my career.
Yeah. And you just said, I'm done. Well, being the lead singer and all, that was good. So, but your dance moves were a little weak, I always thought.
I got heavy. What can I say? I gained like 50 pounds.
That's what happens.
Oh, righty then.
So, Justin, I get a real kick out of you. You're out there, you're doing this. You decided to run. First of all, you're like, I don't want to say a Renaissance guy, but you're always learning something new. You're putting something new under your belt. Like, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your background, would you please?
Yeah. So, like Barry said, I know we're on radio, can't see me, but I am a first-generation Korean American.
And you're a big dude.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I always say. People always tell me you're the largest Korean they've ever seen.
You are. Holy smokes.
Yeah. I'm 6'1".
Eating a lot of steak or something.
Actually, to be completely honest, it was Popeye fried chicken. Kid you not. I mean, I don't know. My grandfather used to take me once a week.
Really? Well, there you go. Whatever it takes, right?
Right. It was great being an American as a little kid.
Yeah, right.
Right. But yeah, like, I was born in Philly. I was raised in Delaware County, and then I settled my roots in Chester County. I've had a very eclectic life, as Barry kind of mentioned. I went to school for accounting. Just decided that tax accounting was very boring.
It is boring. It's terribly boring. I'm convinced that when you graduate, they take you into a room. You remember Men in Black?
Yes.
They take you in there. You know that thing goes, and you lose your memory?
Oh, yeah.
It sucks your personality out of you, right? And like, And so you could never fit there because you fought back and kept your personality.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I couldn't drone on.
Right.
But, like exploring my familiarity with math being in my genes, I decided to go back and become a teacher. And I taught in the city of Philadelphia. It was a very...
that's tough.
It was fun. I loved it. Yeah,
Did you really? What part of Philly?
So 24th and Cecil B. Moore. Shout out to
Cecil
Gideon.
B. Moore, wow.
Yeah.
Out towards, what is it, American, out that way?
Strawberry Mansion.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. To be completely honest, I actually felt really bad for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I loved them.
Yeah. Just tough backgrounds.
Yeah. It's just that, they don't get the opportunities. Like, you see, firsthand experience of, what's really going on. You know, everyone hears it, Philadelphia schools are like this.
But you were immersed in that.
Yes. And that being said, it really is a shame of the bureaucracy of kind of what gets involved in something like that. And that was my first kind of experience with something like politics, I guess, at mid 20s. And then, right after I started teaching, God blessed me with twins, and I realized that I couldn't afford twins on this lifestyle, and I decided to run a small business to essentially, help and maintain a lifestyle for twins in this current environment.
Right.
So that was 10 years ago, so I've been running my own business for about the last 10 years.
Wow. So here's the interesting thing. How long did you teach for?
Technically 3 years, 2.5 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have a representative that was a former teacher. She taught for 6 minutes. So you got a good background in that. It's in Philly. You have a good experience with that. So you understand the dynamic of not just the city, but not the greatest parts of the city. So you've been immersed with people that are urban and poor. Okay. So you understand their needs and wants are different than ours. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, that's one of the things that from growing up in so many different neighborhoods and just being part of so many different groups as a child and even as an adult now and just working in different fields, yes, I have noticed that there is a sort of, I want to say, imaginary disconnect between the top and the bottom. The top, essentially, people in Harrisburg, I guess we're talking about at this point because that's what I see it is,
right?
Believe that the bottom needs X, Y, Z, but firsthand that's not what they need, and it's kind of there is a disconnect between the actual voters and the people of Pennsylvania and our leaders at the Capitol. Because
they're kind of in their own beltway circle. They talk to each other and then they believe that's what it is, really. They don't go in and actually see what's happening. They don't immerse themselves, or they don't talk with the people that are actually in the trenches. Perhaps, maybe that's it?
Yeah, I could see that as being...
Or it's just that their perception is their reality.
I think that's probably 100% it. The perception is the reality. Okay. And that's definitely a frustrating... something I've noticed in the last few years. So to be completely frank, I have no experience in politics. This is something that came out of left field, and this is just me being me, and just being recently discovering that I am neurodivergent. So I technically have mental superpowers I can use, and I started researching, and I've made a lot of eye-opening discoveries, and this is something that I feel like I can use my brain towards helping us and helping the people of Pennsylvania.
Well, it's interesting you say that because, this is one of the things about being a representative and a people-driven government, right? You could go in and become a representative and have a background in Russian literature and filmmaking and become a representative, say. I've seen that done, So it's a matter of not necessarily your background as far as that goes, because where would you use Russian literature or filmmaking to make decisions in the government? Of course, that may be some of the problems there, too. I don't know, because I don't know that they get world experiences like that. I'm not the one to judge on that. But what I am saying is that people can go in and with some common sense and some reasonable intelligence can probably do some really good things that aren't getting done, or at least try to do some things and influence people in the legislature, don't you think?
So that's pretty much it, Barry. This is one of those things that when I look at how this operates, how everything works there, it seems like either you vote party lines or you're excommunicated. So it seems like somebody really needs to step in and kind of say, hey, hold on, time out. Do we think this bill is the best potential? Do we think that this is the most effective way to spend our state-earned tax dollars? Like, some of it just does not make sense. And there clearly is a communication disconnect between voters and just anyone in politics, I feel. So, I mean, people have told me in our own district, I feel awkward walking into our current state rep's office because I'm not sure if she will listen to what I would say because I am not a similar voter. And that's concerning because
I've experienced that.
Yeah.
Not in yours, but in my own.
That's that's exactly it. So clearly, even in your own experience, what people are telling me is true because they're fearful because am I going to be judged based off my beliefs? And that's something that we need to remind people that, no, that's not what this country was based off of. That's not what our representatives are there to do. They are supposed to treat everyone in their district as their neighbors, their community, and be the voice of their community and a neighbor, regardless of their own personal beliefs. If you tell me, Justin, I have a problem with XYZ, that's my focus. That's my job. It doesn't matter if my beliefs or personal matters affect that, but it's more the fact that, hey, my constituents in my neighborhood is upset. And let me do my job and fix the problem because that's what they're really there to do is fix problems.
Exactly. That's what they're there to do. Now, some can't be done. You look at it and go, listen, that's not my ballywick. That's not where we go. You need to be here. But at least they could give guidance. They could be a guidance counselor, right? You could say, that's not it. But here in this division over here, you need to be here. And sometimes we can't do anything for you. That, unfortunately, is a matter for the courts because we can't deal with that. But at least you can be honest with them and try and do something or at least give them some guidance. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. At least provide an answer.
Exactly.
Say, hey, listen, this is why I can't help you. And I learned that a lot even when I ran for school board last year. That was my first take in politics. I always thought school board decided on books, decided on topics, and decided on curriculum. And then I learned, no, that's not what they do at all. It is they get presented with we need to spend money on a problem, and then the school board decides, okay, will we spend money on that? That was it. And I learned, wow, okay, you really cannot affect what is going on directly in schools, but they can be the voice, at least, to maybe provide some opinions of saying, hey, listen, my constituents in my area believe this. What can we do about it? And even that locally, I find that people's voices were not being heard and not being honored. And it's to a point, and I get it because you can't let everybody have a word in a minute because it could take forever.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's something that I think that we can, even as a society, kind of revisit and say, okay, hey, can we do a better process for this so that people can be heard and people can be respected and people can be, felt like they have been heard. Is the biggest thing that I find that is that people just need an ear.
Yeah, right. They want to be heard. Absolutely. And speaking of heard, people have to hear our commercials so we can keep the lights on. So we're going to break to a commercial and then we're going to be back with more of Justin Pak.
Barry D is back with All Politics Are Local.
I am back with Justin Pak. He is running in the 157th district for representative. That those areas are what townships, Justin?
Tredyffrin Township, Easttown Township, Schuylkill Township, and Willistown Township.
I won't ask you to spell Tredyffrin.
No idea.
Or Schuylkill. Yeah, that would be bad. Tredyffrin. I screw that up every time. People look at that and go, I don't even know that those letters go together. So let's talk about it. You used a big old word there a little while ago, neurodivergent. Explain that a little bit to the listeners and then tell me why you consider it an asset as opposed to a detriment.
So neurodivergent is kind of a newer term. I believe probably the last few years, to be completely honest. So essentially we're talking about is a combination of, now they could just call it ADHD instead of ADHD.
Here's a pill.
ADHD. Yeah, here's a pill, exactly. And then so pretty much the best way to explain it is a nice combination of autism and ADHD together.
Right.
So it's like a nice little blend, a nice little cocktail, as they say.
Yep.
So it's one of the traits that I guess I've recently discovered about myself is the fact that I have fantastic pattern recognition. I have the ability to look at problems.
Pattern recognition is definitely Asperger's.
100%. So exactly.
No question.
Yeah. And then also my ability to look at problems from multiple different angles, which I discovered is actually dyslexia. So fun fact about yourself, one of the things, if you take an object and you can picture it three-dimensionally in your mind with ease, you may have some parts of dyslexia.
Wow. So, okay.
That's there as well. Then also my ability to essentially read the room. That's a Korean thing that we talk about. It's called a nunchi, which is a sixth sense, we call it.
Okay.
It is, you can ask any Korean, something that we all know that either you have it or you don't have it. And it's essentially being neurodivergent. You can read faces, you can read kind of emotions, temperatures of the room.
I see those all as assets.
Yeah.
All assets, because it's how you can tell. That's how you navigate through life.
Absolutely.
Right? And the more you can do that, the better off you are. Listen, animals, they can't really speak. I mean, they can do some noises and things like that, but they're watching all the actions and what's going on, and they can detect danger very quickly just from nature, from what's going on around them. Well, basically, that's kind of what you're talking about, things like that. You can read a room, you can see what people are doing, you get an idea. Are they angry? Are they happy? What's going on? And that's a big plus. When you got to talk to people, you need to know where you need to be.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've discovered on my own, talking to, I guess, potential future politicians as well, is they like to hide a lot of their emotions behind professionalism, but it's all a front to me.
Oh yeah, it's a facade. It's a very thin veneer, right? And I find that kind of appalling, to be honest with you, when they're very neutral about that stuff. Because me being Italian and I'm talking to you, my hands are all over the place, right? And I wear my emotions on my sleeve lots of times. I didn't used to, but I do now. I would rather know where that person is and get the feeling for them, you know, and know, okay, well, there's a passion in there, right? Otherwise, they're just a monotonous, boring, robot.
Yes, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you're not connecting with the voter. Not connecting with the voter in any way. I think there's some animation. I think that's a definite asset on something like that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I guess throughout my entire life I've always been kind of lost. I've never really found my place. And like you said, hey, here, take a pill. My family never believed in that. And they just said that, no, these are positive traits. My grandfather told my parents that, no, these are positive traits. And my parents thought he was crazy, and they kind of let me loose for all those years. And I've landed in this square now, in this spot, and it's kind of like, hey, this is something that I can focus on. I like to focus on, and I love to do, because it's almost like solving a puzzle backwards. Here the puzzle's already solved, but break it back apart, which is probably why I did well in accounting, because it's about, here's the problem, go back to what kind of caused, or here's the solution, but go back to what kind of caused this.
Right, the analysis of how you got there.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of what accounting is, which I learned the hard way, which I thought it was all math, and it wasn't.
Listen, I still can't figure out credits from debits, so don't even go there. So tell me, listen, because we've only got a few minutes left. We got like 5 minutes I can talk to you about. It's 5-6 minutes. What has driven you to this? Why exactly are you running?
Barry, that's a great question. Usually the typical person they always ask is an attorney or a big C-suite person or somebody with a lot of experience. I think it's one of the things that I had a rare opportunity and I was asked by a certain group of people to say, hey, you'd be a great person to run for office. And they promised me the back-end support, because I don't know how to do a lot of paperwork and whatever.
Well, this is a science.
Right.
Politics is a science. The paperwork behind it is incredible these days.
Yes, and that was eye-opening. And I was like, wow, so this is how you do this. I was like, okay. So to be completely honest, Barry, it's because as being a first-generation Korean American, my parents came here believing that their kids could have the best opportunity to thrive in this country. And that being said, it's one of those things that how can I tell my kids to take chances get messy.
If you don't do it yourself.
If you don't do it yourself.
Right.
So it's one of those things that I was scared. I was terrified because it's something that I've never thought about, nothing I've ever been prepared for, but hey, let's go. So it's one of those things that I've told myself, hey, let's set an example for your kids, for your potential grandkids, and for anybody, to be completely honest, is maybe I'll win, and this could be a story about how a first-generation Korean American became somebody that is a potential leader in our state.
Actually, I love those stories. I love following that stuff, how people come up through and hearing them talk and having the experiences that they do, which are a little different from being somebody that's always been, immersed in America and sees it a certain way. And, of course, being in a different culture, because your parents being both Korean and you're being the first generation, it's different than people that are second generation by a long shot, where they still say, I'm Italian or I'm Polish or I'm whatever. Yeah, not so much. You're American now. Those people saw the parents suffer and do the work and do what they did to make a better life for their kids in a country, in a stranger in a strange land.
Yes.
Okay, that's difficult, and that's amazing to me. And my great grandfather did it with my grandfather who came over. My grandfather was so my father was first generation. I cannot possibly, and he's told me the stories. He passed away last year about how he was discriminated against and all that, being the first generation. Born in his family into America, and it was tough. It was tough, but you know what? It also made him a better person because he understood and the dynamics, and things changed. So I tell you what, we're going to have to cut this because we're almost out of time here. But you have a minute to give us contact information and thank anybody you want to thank, and tell people how to get a hold of you, give money to you, call you up and tell you suck, whatever. Go.
Sounds good. The best way to reach me is pakforpa.com or
that's
Pak.
the number 4, right?
No, FOR. So,
is it? Okay.
Yeah, so pakforpa.com, and that is the same for Instagram and Facebook social media tags. That is the best way to reach me. I have on there. I don't like to post a lot because I don't want to be in people's faces, but just that's the best way to at least share my journey in this.
You have videos?
Yes, I do. I have a couple of videos. I got some funny ones on there because I get hate from both sides. So
perfect.
I must be on the right track.
You're definitely on the right track with me anyway.
I just wanted to also say, a big thank you to my wife and my kids for putting up with this.
Oh, let me tell you,
the journey.
They suffer through that stuff, man. I see it all the time. They take the brunt of it, while Dad's out there getting beat up. They're like, oh God, we got to watch this, and the whole bit. So God bless them for. Yeah, I try to shield them as much as possible. So luckily, my kids don't really understand it, which I'm actually happy about because they can just say, "Oh, Dad's at work," and let me just fight the fight. Right. There you go. Hey, Justin, I cannot thank you enough for being on here, and hopefully I can get you back yet. Absolutely. Maybe we can do some extended interview, something, and put it in someplace else in the station. Sounds good to me. Okay, we'll try and do something with that. So, it's that time we all regret, except for that one Karen that only listens to be mad at me. Yeah, Justin Pak, running for representative in PA 157 district over there in the eastern side of Chester County. One more time, what municipalities, Justin? That's Tredyffrin Township, Easttown Township, Schuylkill Township, and Willistown Township. Yeah, 2 of those 4 are too hard to spell. And thank you so much, Eric Glambear, my producer here on All Politics Are Local. This guy is the best. In fact, the other day he told me that every time we work together, it seems like the time goes by excruciatingly slow.
What kind of a fool do you take me for?
Why, is there more than one kind?
No, apparently not. Mondays and Wednesdays, Eric and I are together on the morning show. Tune us in. Give us a listen. We have news, sports, weather. We talk about local things like Cracker Barrel in Downingtown just abruptly shutting its doors a couple days ago. It's the only Cracker Barrel I ever ate at that I got a bad meal. Just saying. Yeah. It's no wonder. Hey, you want to know what affects you? What's happening in your area? City radio stations care about city stuff. Worse yet, some shows are syndicated and shipped in from someplace like Los Angeles. Support the local businesses and the locally grown food. You ever have food grown in Los Angeles? That's nasty. Oh, no, you don't. Yeah, I'm certainly not. Support the local advertisers. They have what you need, and they care about you. You know, your local businesses, your neighbors, and your friends, support those that sponsor WCHE. They're our community. If you don't have community, try and go out and eat at Amazon and tell me how that works out for you, huh? And by the way, if you like my show, take time to send a nice note to WCHE at WCHE1520.com. And if my show, if you say it gives you anxiety, yeah, she just got married. We're never, ever getting back together like ever. A big thank you to Donna Saul, general manager here at WCHE, the darling of Westchester Media. She really cares about my well-being. Just the other day, she asked me if I'd retire like 5 times.
Oh, boy.
Be sure to like and follow WCHE's Facebook page where you can keep up on what's happening around the town and the county. And you can see my updates and videos on both my Facebook page, which is WCHE All Politics Are Local with Barry D, and my YouTube channel, which is All Politics Are Local with Barry D. Wow, that sounds almost the same, doesn't it? Today's intro and outro music, well, the intro, that was actually a Rickroll, but my outro music is that Belgian band Depeche Mode, which also is a setting on my blender. You know that, Justin? Yeah, setting on the blender. Yeah, and that's their hit song, Just Can't Get Enough, which placed nowhere on the Billboard Hot 100 1981, but it did manage to sell 1 million copies in the U.S. just the same. And it hit number...
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. And it hit number 26, and it was on the U.S. Dance Club Billboard chart. So how about that? Listen, last little bit here, final thought of the day. I just want you to know that when you're feeling down, Justin, or like you can't get things to come together, I just want you to remember one time what Joe Biden said. He said, Trina Shaffa depressure. Yeah. So with that, I'm Barry D for All Politics Are Local. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.